Well, live from Moore Gymnasium on the campus of Bethune-Cookman University in beautiful downtown Daytona Beach, Florida. It's time for some early morning hoops here on the Cat Eye Network. It's Education Day, as over 300 students from local schools have packed Moore Gymnasium to watch the Bethune-Cookman Wildcats take on the Trinity Baptist Eagles. Hello and a very warm welcome. My name is Michael Trevillo. Happy to have your company. Bryce Wojnowski, Sports Information Director here at Bethune-Cookman, joins me at the broadcast desk today. Bryce, Education Day, it's always a bit of a bear for us because of an early start, but it's so much fun for the kids. It's fun for the players because early on in the season they get to play for a packed house. You know as well as I, the kids will cheer for everything today. It's just going to be a fun morning of basketball.
As long as the game moves fast, the kids will be into it, and that's what's really fun about it. A lot of schools do a day like this. It's a really fun day. Again, yes, it's not the best to wake up early to get some action in, but no matter what happens today, I tell you what, the kids will be involved.
Wildcats in the gold immediately start by going down low to Chanel McDonald, and we are underway. Trinity Baptist comes in today only with 6 active players, including their 2 best scorers, Renaya Clark and Emma Parrish, two of the 5 players out for Trinity Baptist. The Eagles out of the National Christian College Athletic Association Division II South. That's a mouthful.
And you know, this is very much a tune-up game, and a much-needed tune-up game for any program at this time of year, just to come in and get your feet under you a little bit. And this will be the second one for these Wildcats early on in the season. You know, they've shown early marks of being a very Coach Creighton-esque team. You know, tenacious defense, making sure to prioritize that over all else. You're just going to need to force the other team into bad shots and make sure that you're running your sets, getting used to working together, and overall improving on what was done in the offseason.
Kayla Clark drives for a floater and rattles it down, and it's already 4-0. The Wildcats did beat Fort Lauderdale 102-27 last week and have taken losses to South Florida, Georgia Southern, and Florida Atlantic. But they were in that Georgia Southern game, only lost by 4, tied at halftime, tied at the end of the third quarter. And it's really been free throws that have hurt this Wildcats team at the start of the season, only hitting 63% from the charity stripe. As Jordan Brooks, the freshman, takes the ball away, goes all the way to the hoop and gets fouled. And this team will go about as far as Jordan Brooks, the freshman, takes them.
And early on, you know, the games looked a little fast for her, which you would absolutely understand coming into first D1 competition straight in as a freshman, being handed the keys of being the point guard. But over the last couple of weeks, we've already seen a little bit of growth, starting to see it all kind of make sense a little bit more. She needs to focus on being a facilitator first and get hers after.
She does lead the team in assists with 10, tied with Kayla White. Brooks, the all-time leader in points, assists, and steals at Union Grove High School in Atlanta, Georgia. A very talented player, but again, a lot of raw talent. I think across the board on this team, there's a lot of raw talent and not a ton of refinement, maybe with the exception of your 2 forwards, Kayla Clark and Chanel McDonald, your 2 biggest returners from last season. The Wildcats force another steal. Here's one of the freshmen, Janessa Kelly, with the lay-in.
And this one's going to get out of hand early, as you probably expect, because there you go. The Wildcats taking advantage of their size and just overpowering a much, much smaller team.
And Damani Dorsey putting that one up and in. It's already 10 as Caroline Smith throws the ball away, and the Wildcats will take over again. This Trinity Baptist team 0-5 officially, 0-7 overall. These games do not count for their record, as well as the games that they've played against North Florida and Savannah State. This is a team that has recent success, Trinity Baptist, as they've won 2 small Bible College national championships in the last 5 years. Wildcats already off to a 12-0 start. They'll run some full court pressure here. Ball finds its way to Caroline Smith, and in the corner, here's a 3. Too strong, but Smith is there in the corner for the rebound. She backdoor passes, and again, just not getting the roll is Renaja Brown. Wildcats quickly in transition. Clark double teamed under the basket, goes with the spin.
Kayla Clark is such a modern big in many ways. She's not the tallest, she's not the biggest, especially once we get into SWAC play, but she's got the footwork that's only gotten better since we got here, and she got so much playing time that freshman season. She's just so smooth with it.
And she has been, we don't have the stat in front of us, but probably the leader in minutes for this Wildcats team over the last 3 years. And you mentioned being thrown in as a true freshman, as the Wildcats quickly go down low to Ajane Nicholson, who leads this team in scoring at 10.3 points per game, largely because of her 26-point outburst against Fort Lauderdale. But it's going to be interesting as we get through the non-conference slate and into conference play, how the disparate pieces of this team gel. Floater no good, rebounded by Dorsey.
Yeah, we see the same thing with the men's side. It's just the modern NCAA landscape. You got a lot of new faces.
Nicholson with a nice rip through, gets her own miss and scores. It's already a timeout call by Coach Alicia Lewis of Trinity Baptist, with the Wildcats up 18-0. We welcome in kids today from Discovery Elementary, Campbell Middle, Creekside Middle, Hinson Middle, Mainland High School, New Smyrna Beach Middle School, Seabreeze High School, Silver Sands Middle School, Spruce Creek High School, Trury Small Elementary, and University High School. Over 300 kids in the building today, and this may be the loudest this building gets until we get to some of those bigger conference matchups.
Shoot, there's plenty of places I've been that have done days like this that it outlouds any game on the season. It could be, you know, the championship game, and these kids bring it, man. They're still shuffling in here as we get ready to wrap up the first quarter, but the more they pack this place in, we know how the acoustics are in this place. It's already loud when everybody's in here and going. It's a blast, man. It really is.
Football season is almost over, and the Cat Eye Network is your home for all the gridiron action. Listen to every game at youtube.com/Cat Eye Network or locally at 1380 WELE in Daytona Beach. It's almost Classic Week, and we've got all the action for the biggest week in HBCU football of the year. Don't miss the call right here, beginning at 3:30 p.m. right here on the Cat Eye Network. You can also find it locally in Daytona Beach at 1380 WELE. Let's talk about the Classic a little bit while we have some time. The last 2 years, it's really felt like the Wildcats were facing an untenable mountain in the Classic. Obviously, Florida A&M last year, HBCU national champions, undefeated except for out-of-conference games. This year, the way the Wildcats have been playing the last couple of weeks and the way the Rattlers have looked the last couple of weeks, it feels like the Wildcats have some agency in this game.
No doubt. It looks a lot from the Wildcat side like it did last year, where you kind of got better and better as the season progressed. You thought you had a shot at it. This year, it's more about the trajectory of FAMU kind of trending in a bad direction. Don't let the Cats get hot early on Saturday.
Stealing a little line from baseball a couple years ago, Ed. Don't let the Cats get hot.
Don't let them get hot.
Trinity Baptist hoists another three at the buzzer. Wildcats will look to run. Here's Kariana Woods out of the timeout. Another returner from last year who got a lot of playing time due to some injuries, and a three is made. That's Janessa Kelly, the freshman from Pompano Beach, someone that Coach Creighton Del Rosario expects to get a lot of playing time this year. Kelly, a four-year varsity starter at Blanche Eli High School, and over 1,000 points in her high school career. Again, the Cats will be aggressive on defense and force another turnover.
And you don't want to get too comfortable doing things in this game that you can't do in just about any other game on the schedule. You know, we said that, I think, last time these Wildcats played a game like this just a couple of weeks ago. You don't need to get too happy to jump routes. You don't need to get in too much of taking bad shots. Just run your offense.
There's a travel on freshman Layla Lancaster. And from all the dominance we've seen from Kayla Clark throughout the last now 4 years here at Bethune-Cookman, Layla Lancaster could be the next big Wildcat center. 6'5" from Lynette, Alabama.
We saw Jackson State, you know, those championships teams built on the backs of their bigs. It's a way that you can win in this conference. It's been proven, and interesting to see, you know, Coach Creighton Del Rosario trying to maybe shift more into that style of play as she continues to evolve as a coach and learn the league.
Here's Nicholson at the free throw line. They go back to her with the white headband. She misses, and Smith taps the rebound back for Trinity Baptist. Here is Ranajala Brown. This is the final game that the Eagles will play, not in the NCCAA, as a block on the back end for Lancaster, her second of her college career.
I think the kids like that play.
A little bit.
Excited over there.
Yeah. And I was talking to our photographer, Romeo, pregame, and he was like, that's all they got, 6 players? And yes, that's all they've got, but I mean, they've played so many games. They've already played 7 games. And they've basically been playing every other day or every third day, as there's a shot clock violation. The shot clock didn't reset after the ball went out of bounds.
You're going to wear them down. I mean, that's just the reality of it, that they are going to get worn down by the end of this game. So hopefully that gives a chance for some of the bottom of the bench Wildcats to really get a chance to maybe earn some playing time down the line, or at the very least, you know, get warm a little bit early on in the season.
After this, the Wildcats will hit the road to Virginia, play the Hoosiers up in Charlottesville. Another offensive rebound for the Cats. This is Shamari Phillips, another transfer from in the SWAC, played at Texas Southern last year, as that ball knocked out of bounds. And Phillips immediately makes way for Dorsey and McDonald. As we will probably see the Wildcats sub every stoppage in this game, just to keep some fresh legs in there. McDonald is fouled on the jump shot. She'll go to the line. And this is where the Wildcats have really hurt themselves this year. Just 63% from the charity stripe, with potentially a chance to have a good mid-major win if you're a little bit better. Remember, only lost to Georgia Southern by 4.
And there's really been, outside of maybe Daimani Dorsey, everybody's been an offender at the line. You know, it's been consistent across the team that everybody has just struggled at the charity stripe, and that's going to drive, you know, Coach CDR nuts, and that's something that is fixable. I mean, that is always in your capacity to fix your free throws, and that's something the Wildcats are going to have to do. You do not want to lose conference games at the line.
Including like your bigs that are going to be fouled the most. Kayla Clark, 33%. Chanel McDonald, 66%. It's not where it needs to be, and that's really the big thing the Wildcats need to clean up. The other one is rebounding, and obviously they've been in the weeds with some much bigger teams, but have a -5 rebound margin to this point in the season. Trinity Baptist still scoreless here as we're under 4 minutes to go in the first quarter. Jordan Brooks back on the floor, running the offense in transition. McDonald battling down low and gets the finish over Smith.
Doesn't even require a whole lot of pressure there from McDonald to get an easy look at the rim.
And that is one thing that I was really impressed about Chanel McDonald's game last year. She came in from one of these teams, Warner, as the Wildcats pick up their first foul, is her ability to make post play look simple. And she's not the tallest player in the world, just 5'11".
She definitely plays with a little bit more size than, of course, she's listed at. A grittier player will get down there. I think she could benefit from playing a little more physical, especially on the offensive side of the ball. I feel like she's too quick to go to the turnaround or go to the fadeaway. That could be a way that we could see her game progress later into the season.
But one of the best parts of the Wildcats offense last year, as here's a 3 from the corner, and it's good, and Trinity Baptist are on the board. But back to Chanel McDonald, one of the best Wildcat plays they had on offense last year was just find her one-on-one in the short corner and let her go to work. Again, they find her down low against Smith, and a jump ball. The ball is going to be Trinity Baptist as the Wildcats won the opening tip. Ranajala Brown hit that last 3 for Trinity Baptist to get them on the board. Out of Williston, Florida. Everybody from the state of Florida on this Trinity Baptist team except Layla Harvey. She's from South Georgia. Smith in the trees, and that's going to be a jump ball that'll give it right back to the Wildcats. Caroline Smith, the longest tenured player on this team, aside from the injured Emma Parrish. Smith, a junior, all 3 years at TBC. Former Northside Christian Academy grad out of Lake Butler. 3 from the wing, short, offensive board, Nicholson.
I think I'd like to see on offense from the Wildcats this game and going forward is a little bit more of the pick and roll game, because you've got bigs that are mobile enough to do it. And especially against an undersized team like this, it'll absolutely work. They just haven't had to go to it.
We've seen a lot of threes from Trinity Baptist as they've struggled penetrating the perimeter of the Wildcats defense, as Daimani Dorsey forces another tie-up with Brown.
I think that's certainly what we could have expected coming into this game. Guard play defensively for Coach Creighton Del Rosario has always been where they've really been all up on their offensive players.
Smith gets that one to go, and that's all she was doing in warm-up, that little two-step drive pull-up. That is very much her game. Chanel McDonald gets another point for the Wildcats. McDonald up to 8. Clark and Nicholson with 6. So it's all forwards all the time for the Wildcats in this first quarter as they lead at 29-5. There's an open look from the wing, and it's good. Jaden Houston, the freshman out of Jacksonville. Right down the other end, Nicholson gets it back after Smith blocked it and finishes.
Not some bad contests inside from Smith early. She's played physical. She's certainly got in there and got hers on the defensive end.
There's a nice block from Chanel McDonald. Wildcats will run in transition. Here's Dorsey ahead of the pack for the easy lay-in. Wildcats will have one more non-conference home game. That is this Saturday after Thanksgiving against Mercer, a game they won last year on the road in Georgia. There's an air ball too strong, rebound by Brooks.
I remember that Chanel Wilson buzzer beater at the end to sink that one.
That's a nice pass from Brooks to Nicholson, who was waiting on the back door.
That's the kind of eye, the kind of court visions you want to see from Brooks. These Wildcats will get out in transition. You got to be able to see those passing lanes.
And almost another steal, but Nicholson makes contact on Caroline Smith. And Caroline Smith, someone who can fill it up, averaged 20 points as a senior at Northside Christian, and has averaged 6.9 points and 5.7 boards her first 2 years at Trinity Baptist. They are missing their best player, Emma Parrish, who's averaging almost a double-double, 13.5 points on the year for Parrish. She is hurt along with 5 other Eagles. And Dorsey continues to light it up from mid-range. Dorsey has been the best both from the free throw line and from 3, shooting 66% from 3 and 85% from the line early on this season. 3-point shooting is something that Coach Creighton Del Rosario teams have never really had, as there's a travel by Layla Harvey.
Yeah, we've had a Morgan Beecham here or there. Of course, Chanel Wilson could get hers on occasion. Not really one to take a ton, but it never really, again, has been a part of the game for the Wildcats. Maybe they start shooting a few more this game the later it goes, but I don't mind just working it inside or settling for some mid-ranges.
That's the end of the first quarter. 37-8, the Wildcats lead over Trinity Baptist. This is Bethune-Cookman women's basketball here on the Cat Eye Network. Second quarter on tap here from Moore Gymnasium. It's all Wildcats as Bethune-Cookman leads Trinity Baptist 37-8 after one. Michael Trillo and Bryce Wojnowski here broadcasting this one live for you from Daytona Beach. And after this, the Wildcats have a long old road trip ahead of them. They got the one home game against Mercer, but then Cleveland State, Bradley, South Alabama, Campbell, Florida A&M, Southern, and Grambling State. They don't come back here until the 16th of January. So a long old road swing for this Wildcats team across the winter break. That time they do run the pick and roll, and it's an and one opportunity for Chanel McDonald.
That's a nice play. Just no way that Trinity Baptist can compete with that sort of size. You know, both the picker and the roller can both see over all their defenders, so it makes it an easy skip pass.
Yeah, we've seen the men's team going to that pick and roll with Jesus Carvalero-Martin and Trey and Brayon running that pretty well the last couple of games.
I mean, the modern basketball game now is three-pointers in the pick and roll. That's for a reason.
Wildcats turn it over after the missed free throw by McDonald. Smith kick out to Harvey. Running the baseline for a three. That one's good. Ranajala Brown leading this team in scoring up to 6 points for Trinity Baptist. They will take a lot of threes. That's a nice drive. Contact, no call. Rebound by the Wildcats. The shot is blocked as Cariana Woods tried to contest Caroline Smith, excuse me. And you can't fool yourself into thinking that you can do anything in this game. I mean, there are still bodies in front of you as Kayla Clark turns that one over. The Wildcats have gotten a little bit careless here to start this second quarter as they have turned the ball over 3 times. Trinity Baptist 7 turnovers.
And stuff like turnovers and maybe missed free throws are the only things you really don't want to see in games like this. Those are mistakes that you can control.
Not a lot of movement on this Eagles team. Jaden Houston around to Harvey. She will try and take on the other freshman, Jayla Green, for the Wildcats and force a reach-in foul against Green. Alyssa Green, my apologies.
Looked like a little box and one on that defensive possession with Ajane Nicholson kind of just trailing the ball. Sometimes dropping back down into more of a 2-3.
Old school, I like it. There's a long three, and it's an air ball from Layla Harvey.
That kind of defense works because not only is just about everybody that's on the floor quick enough to quickly get out to the line and prevent the three-point shot, but they know that there's really nobody who can cut that inside of the zone like you would traditionally do to try to get shots in the middle.
Alyssa Green, the freshman from Buford, Georgia, on the drive. She misses the layup, cleaned up by Nicholson. She's going to get a third chance and bury it. We'll talk about the freshmen on this team. Alyssa Green, Layla Lancaster, Jordan Brooks, Janessa Kelly, and Maya Johnson, all probably going to see significant playing time throughout the season. Smith drives in, floater off the glass too strong. Bullying her way to the basket, but an offensive foul is called on Kayla Clark.
A little too much shoulder there. I think Clark knew it, even though she gave a little bit of a wince at the official. Part of that maybe getting a little bit penalized just because of how much bigger she is than Smith down low, and so even a little bit of pressure just knocks her over.
If we have listeners out there that are used to attending games here at Moore Gymnasium, as a jumper is no good, offensive board putback for Alessandra Henriquez into the ball game for the first time. Nice flash through for Alyssa Green. She's up to 11 points on the year. Green from a basketball family. We've got an untied shoelace for Ranajala Brown, but Green, a basketball family. Her father, a former Allen University player. Her brother played at Xavier, Louisiana. Nice foot speed from Nicholson to keep Brown in front of her on that fake three-pointer. And just good one-on-one defense overall. You can tell that Trinity Baptist trying to drive the ball. The Wildcats almost forced 2 turnovers there, but they will stay with the Eagles.
You talk about that foot speed from Ajane Nicholson. That's the kind of defender I know Coach Creighton Rosario loves playing out there, because no, Brooks isn't the fastest guard in the world. She doesn't have the best, move to beat you off the dribble. But just watching Nicholson stay on her, locked in the whole time, being able to shuffle her feet is really great to see.
Another 3 is drilled by Ranashala Brown. She's 3 of 6 with 3 3-pointers.
I'd say the longer this goes on, the more threes we'll probably see from Trinity Baptist, just when the legs start to wear down and more trying to
Jordan
make
Brooks,
what they can.
backdoor pass, short, McDonald gets her own miss, put back good. And that's just the kind of work I want to see from Jordan Brooks, right? Draw the defense, find the open man. And it's games like this that are important for a lot of the freshmen on this team to try to maybe get up to speed a little bit. That'll be a long 2. It's good anyway from Alessandra Henriquez.
Even with the net kind of messed up there, sunk that one.
And in the first half of quarter number 2, Trinity Baptist has already equaled their points output from the first quarter. Brooks, that was an awkward shot off of her left leg, pushing it with her right hand. Oh my goodness, that's from the moon. It still hit the iron off the glass.
Didn't look like it.
For Jaden Houston.
When it went up, I thought that thing was going over the backboard.
Brooks with the Lancaster screen. They go back to her. That's a great set play.
Again, nice job getting Brown in the middle. That's not where she wants to be, but she has no choice to trail her man down low and get the easy pass right over her head.
Transition triple, good. Layla Harvey just stepped into that one and knocked it down. We've seen Trinity Baptist come out and shoot the lights out pretty much in the second half, 50% from the floor. Green thought about the 3. She'll drive and find the wide open Lancaster, who gets hacked by Smith.
And again, another good foul by Smith. I mean, she's the one who, that's what, her 3rd foul already. So if you foul her out, they're in big time trouble. But I do give her credit for battling in there down low. A lot of Trinity Baptist early has kind of been trying to shy away from contact, trying to get those 3 balls, trying to stay, because they know the Wildcats are so much more physical that they're going to have that advantage. But man, she has fought in there pretty good. Not a bad foul. Missed the shot. Don't have the and one. I don't mind that from Smith at all. Just got to play it a little more conservative now with the 3 fouls.
Smith at 5'9". The tallest player behind her on this team that is not hurt is Kirsten Lee and Jaden Houston, both at 5'7". And below that, you start getting into your 5'3" territory, 5'2". We haven't seen Justice Ewig, who is listed at 4'10".
4'10" sniper.
It only shoots 3s. That's all she's done all season.
Like the Jack Gelke from Oakland last year, just chucking them up. No 2 balls for me, thank you. Of course, I guess if you're 4'11", probably best to stay out there. I'm not sure what you're going to get if you go inside.
I was going to say, it's
you'd have to have a big-time defensive blow-up to have any space.
It's like me trying to get a rebound. Not happening.
Oh, come on. You get the box out going, back them down a little bit. Come up with one. You got to play a little bit bigger. You got to use your physicality.
I played a lot of pickup basketball against my roommate in college who was 6'5".
Listen, I've seen you carry that big radio box. You got to go upstairs. I know you're capable of getting down low.
Nike is the official outfitter of the Bethune-Cookman Wildcats. Gear up on the newest BCU Nike gear at Nike.com/Bethune-Cookman Wildcats. Speaking of Nike, brand new gold Wildcat women's basketball uniforms this year. Not sure if the men have new ones. I haven't gotten to see them yet.
They'll have at least one new one coming in the next couple of weeks. Of course, we won't get to see them here at home for quite a while because the men are bon voyage. They won't see them until January.
Until January 18th,
yeah,
I think
late
is
January.
their Long
Boy.
game. That's a long old road swing. Good luck, boys.
Little breather in Cancun early next week. Get some time at the beach, maybe unwind. Not sure with Coach Theus how much time of that there'll be.
I was going to say, I'm not sure Coach Theus is really going to let them unwind that much. Nice rebound by Clark off the Lancaster missed free throw, and Lancaster is going to go back to the line.
Well, let's work on those free throws.
Yeah, Lancaster just 1 of 2 on the season coming into the game.
Nothing wrong with a little free throw work. I don't know if there's more pressure in the world than a bunch of kids living and dying on every shot you make. Disappointed them right there.
Wow, 0 for 2 now. And 0 for 3 is that one short as well, but the Wildcats get an offensive board, and another Kayla Clark cleans it up. And something that you have to do if you're the Wildcats in this game, you have to treat this as kind of an extension of practice. It's like Trinity Baptist has brought the squad over to run some sets. Oh, nice block. That was on the 4-10. Ewig got blocked by Dorsey. That might be the only block she gets all year. Swing, 3, no. But another offensive rebound. They got 3 players on the floor over 6 foot tall for the Wildcats right now.
And now with Smith, the 1 bit of size they did have, the 1 bit of physicality they did have out, Wildcats are getting whatever they want inside.
Brown picked up the dribble, and it rolls out of bounds, stays with Trinity Baptist. And Nicholson will replace Lancaster. I like what I've seen from Lancaster so far. Just got to clean it up at the free throw line. 0 of 4 from the charity stripe on those last 2 visits. Wildcats 4 of 9 from the line so far today. The Eagles have not gotten to the charity stripe. Ewig tries to dribble through traffic. And we've got a stoppage of play as an Eagle is down behind the play. Layla Harvey took a hard fall behind that one as she passed the ball. Not bad dribbling skills from Ewig, though. Got through a couple of Wildcat defenders. And found Houston wide open underneath. If the refs didn't stop that play, that's an open layup for Houston.
It's interesting that early on in the season, we haven't seen a whole lot of lineups that have included both Kayla Clark and Chanel McDonald. You know, you can look at it and say maybe they're a little bit redundant, but I also think that especially when we get into swag play, that there may be a place for a bigger lineup like that. It just hasn't been something they've gone to a whole lot. I think Ajahnay Nicholson, the size, the physicality of her gives them a little bit more flexibility to feel like they don't have to play a lineup like that, because you kind of get you maybe give off a little bit of the size and a little bit of the muscle to bring in a little bit more athleticism, but a little bit more pop. So I'm just interested to see, you know, a lot of this is still about lineups, about figuring out who your core is, who deserves minutes, who your first off the bench is, a lot of different things. And I think that is a lineup that, again, when we talk about modern basketball, that's a little bit more of slowing it down, a little bit more old school, you know, your Twin Towers type down low. But I do think there may be a place for that down the line, and I wouldn't mind seeing it a little bit more in the non-conference play.
Well, last year we saw them on the floor together because they ran 2 forwards, 3 guards. With Wilson, Kayla Clark, and at times Kariana Woods, or however you want to throw in that 3rd guard spot. I think this season you're probably going to see a lot more true guard, 3 forward sets, with the Wildcats being so forward heavy on the roster. And the guards unproven, right? You've got Jordan Brooks, Damani Dorsey, Kayla White. Yes, Dorsey and White were here last year, but again, behind Chanel Wilson, who kind of dominated control of the ball, didn't see a lot of playing time. Smith back in underneath. She finds Henriquez at the end of the shot clock. She can't get that corner jumper to go. Wildcats push it in transition. Here's Shomari Phillips, the Texas Southern transfer. Nice ball movement by the Wildcats on this possession against the 2-3 zone. Phillips drives in, finds Nicholson up and under. That's good discipline by Shomari Phillips. Had a couple of chances to take open looks, but decided to get the easy look to the forward of the back door. Whoa, there's a three. Jaden Houston gets her first points of the night. Trinity Baptist 8 of 27 from the floor, 4 of 12 from beyond the arc. Clark in the corner. Down low, Nicholson. She gets it back, and there's nobody there to guard her.
And see, it's one thing you mentioned passing up on potential open shots or maybe not the best shot, a little bit contested. It's one thing to pass on shots like that in a game like this. It's another to pass on passes because there's so many times you can just look down the whole floor and see anybody's open, but to find the right one.
Oh, nice. That was a volleyball block from Kayla Clark. Two hands, Nicholson pumps and scores. But I like that set where you go big, 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 all on one side of the floor, and you've got to either commit extra numbers or somebody's going to be open, and Kayla Clark was at the end of that play. That's something that could work when we get to SWAC play. Baseline drive, the ball goes off the foot of Brown. Give it back to the Wildcats, 57-23. But the Wildcats only outscoring Trinity Baptist 20-15 so far in this quarter. The Eagles have brought their shooting legs here after going only 3 of 16 from the floor in the first quarter.
Yeah, for a team as undersized as they are, man, even when they've played D1 competition, or D2 for that matter, which is still certainly a step up, they've been able to put up points, which is credit to them.
That's a nice layup. Shomari Phillips. Only averaged 3 points and 2.3 rebounds last year at Texas Southern. So somebody who's looking to find her place in the college basketball landscape, Shomari Phillips. And only one of a couple transfers on the Wildcats team this year. Coach Del Rosario and company choosing to rebuild through a lot of freshman signees and less so through the portal, as Caroline Smith, for the first time on the receiving end of a foul down low.
Interesting that not only have we not seen Kayla White at any point tonight yet, or this afternoon, this morning even, she's not even dressed. Well, she is, but she's had the warm-up on the whole time, and she didn't practice a whole lot pre-game. She hasn't gotten a ton of minutes this year, but I think it's a credit to the younger guards on this team.
2-on-0. Here's Dorsey ahead of the pack, lays it in.
White was a person who picked up a lot down the end with some depth concerns with his Wildcats team, some injuries, some people banged up. She took on a big load, and for a freshman like Brooks to come in and kind of take on those minutes and really be that so early is big.
And we can sympathize with what Trinity Baptist is going through right now because we went through that last year down the stretch, being down to at times 6 players. Jordan Brooks throws it up. Oh, almost got the roll too.
See, that's the kind of stuff that Jordan Brooks should shy away from, especially in a game like this. It's a lot what it looked like at USF. Just too quick, trying to do too much. Yeah, you had a lane, but that really wasn't the best shot that was available. Very easily slow it down and run a set against a team like this.
And if you drive like that, what can you get off of it besides a tough layup falling away? As we're 6 seconds left to go in the half, Wildcats will get one more stop, and that'll do it. A strong half for the Wildcats. They score 37 in the first quarter, 24 in the fourth. Trinity Baptist looks better in the second quarter, but the Wildcats still lead 61-23 as we head to the half. Quick takeaways from the first half, Bryce.
Well, it looks a lot like we expect a Coach Creighton team to look. Tenacious defensively. The footwork defensively in particular has been really great, especially from your bigs and your forwards, just being able to stick with these guards. You'd like to clean up maybe a little bit more on that three-point line. We know that's where Trinity Baptist wants to go. That's about their only avenue to score at this point. But overall, offensively, I think it's looked good. I think they've slowed the game down. I think for the most part, they've taken what the defense has given them. They've tried to run an offense. It hasn't just been hero ball consistently. I think there's a lot of things that you like to see from a game like this, from a bye game, from a tune-up type game, and you just hope to carry as much of it over, not only into the second half, but well on into non-conference play.
We'll take a break for the halftime, and when we come back, it's the second half between the Wildcats and the Trinity Baptist Eagles right here on the Cat Eye Network. Welcome back to more Gymnasium. About to start the second half between the Bethune-Cookman Wildcats and the Trinity Baptist Eagles. It's the Wildcats 61, the Eagles 23. Let's run you through a couple of those first half stats. First for the Wildcats, Ajanay Nicholson lit it up as she did against Fort Lauderdale last week. 16 points on 8 of 12 shooting with 8 rebounds and 3 steals. Chanel McDonald, 12 points on 5 of 7 shooting, 2 of 3 from the free throw line. 3 rebounds, 1 assist. Kayla Clark, the other double-digit scorer for the Wildcats, 10 points, 5 boards, and 2 assists with 1 block as well. For Trinity Baptist, their top scorer is Ranajala Brown, 9 points on 3 of 8 shooting, all from 3, 2 assists and a steal for her. Layla Harvey, 5 points. Enriquez, 4, Houston 3, Smith 2. Ewing has played but not scored, as that's the only 6 players they've got available to them today. I'd like to see a little more out of the guards, maybe not scoring-wise, but maybe perhaps on the assisting front. Cariana Woods leads the way with 5 assists, but then Nicholson with 4 and Phillips with 4. You got 2 forwards with 4 assists. I'd like to see Jordan Brooks only credited with 1 assist in that first half, maybe try and distribute the ball a little bit more, Bryce.
Yeah, Brooks is a big one. I think, like I mentioned all the way back in the open, she should look to facilitate first. I think that's where her growth as a guard will come as a freshman. I think that's where you'll start to see maturity, is if that is the #1 priority. We saw a couple of drives, especially later in that first half, that just a little ill-advised, kind of forcing something up, just trying to get a bucket. And I get it. It's one of those games where you kind of feel like you should get a couple, you should be able to put up some numbers. Fine, but that's not going to last very long once we get into the rest of the season. So I would look to facilitate first. And for Nicholson, as great of a first half as she has had, I would like to see a little bit more physicality from her. I'd like to see her try to get to the line a little bit more, use her body, use her strength to kind of get into some of these smaller guards or smaller whichever defender has switched onto her, because she's had to force a ton of switches with just how fast and how much she moves. Try to get this team in some foul trouble. And I don't think that will ultimately happen in this game, just because you don't need to put that level of pressure on a team like this. You'll probably call off the Dogs pretty early if things continue to go the way they have. But it's something that I would like to see in her game a little bit more long-term.
Trinity Baptist in the black, Bethune-Cookman in the gold. We are underway half number 2. The Wildcats sending out a small lineup here to start the second half. Chanel McDonald, the only forward, and 4 guards. McDonald does get that first rebound and hand the ball off to Jordan Brooks. She pushes it down the floor. Going baseline drive and banking it in is Cariana Woods.
And she took a hand off her face in the drive there. Good job to stay with it.
An interesting look tactically that I don't think we'll see much against maybe any other team, but against a team this small, you can't afford to go with a 4-guard, 1 center look. Nice job by Brooks getting down on the floor. Woods, excuse me, to rip that ball away. Here's McDonald running the floor. Nice find by Dorsey.
That is the one thing you do gain with a lineup like this, and again, you probably can't get away with it with many, is that speed. Chanel Wilson got enough, Chanel McDonald enough to streak down the court.
We're going to have to do it again after the steal. Brooks finds McDonald.
It's very easy to not hustle back on plays like that in games like this. So it's good to see the Wildcats still engaged, still locked in, not coming out of the half checked out or ready to go home and take a nap or anything like that.
Wildcats got to pressure the 3-point line, I think, a little bit more here in this second half as Caroline Smith's jumper is off. Of the 9 field goals that Trinity Baptist hit in the first half, 5 of them were from 3. Nice screen to set up this shot for Dorsey. McDonald boxes out and gets fouled. She'll go to the line for an and 1. She got pushed to the back by Brown.
Try as they might, these guards just not capable of putting any kind of pressure, especially on a body like Chanel McDonald. So easy there to do some cleanup duty. We'll notice on the defensive end for the Wildcats, as we shoot a couple of free throws, they've shifted back into man, and I think when they shifted into zone more in the second quarter in the first half is where you saw a little bit more scoring, a little bit more uptick in 3-point shots for Trinity Baptist. So we'll see how long they stay in man.
Another missed free throw and a foul on the back end of it. As Chanel McDonald's going to be replaced by Kayla Clark. Kayla Clark over the last 3 seasons at Bethune-Cookman has averaged nearly a double-double, 8.5 points and 8.5 rebounds.
Just came in polished player. Not a perfect player, but very much ready for the D1 game when she got here.
3 on the way from the corner. Rebound down to the Wildcats and Damani Dorsey. Brooks, bullet pass. And unbelievably finished off by Janessa Kelly, and then a foul on by Kelly on Brown.
I'll also be interested to see if on offense the Wildcats at any point do try to get the 3-point shot going. Here comes Kayla White for the first time today. But, you know, they've only taken just 3 on the game. And, you know, we've talked, I know it might have been on our weekly podcast about it a little bit, is maybe just trying to evolve as a team that maybe just doesn't have it in their arsenal. But if you're going to run some plays for it and try to get some of your shooters, or at least who you would think would be your shooters, the ball in positions that are as open as you can get them, then now wouldn't be a bad time to work on it. Certainly better than forcing it in a game against even Mercer coming up next week.
The Wildcats have gone back to a little bit of a taller lineup, bringing in Shomari Phillips to replace Jordan Brooks. And now they'll run some full court pressure to try and turn Trinity Baptist over here, as they have done 12 times so far today. That's a block by Dorsey and a scramble on the ground to push it to Clark. We'll see who runs the offense in this set. Woods flings one up and it goes.
One thing that the Eagles have done in this game is they've let the Wildcats dictate the pace. We saw it again right there. They're trying to move so quickly on offense, trying to really force something up. Right there when they caught the ball in transition, didn't have to immediately try to put the ball up, resulting in that block. You could have very easily dropped back into an offensive set, but part of the problem with that is even when they've done that, the Wildcats have managed to put the clamps on.
Wildcats have 5 blocks, no player with more than 1 in the contest. That's a little behind-the-back dribble from Harvey. She tries to create some space against Shomari Phillips. Here's Smith away outside into the corner. That's a long 2 and it goes. Houston makes that one. 71-25. There's the pick and roll. Clark barely caught up to it. Gets it back from Phillips. One-on-one with Smith. She works on her and scores. Again, those kind of looks are not going to come as easy once you get into conference play.
Smith has also dropped way back when it comes to the hacking going on down low, or even trying to go for blocks with those 3 fouls, because they're so shallow on that bench, they just can't afford to lose her.
Lots of ball handling from Harvey here.
Harvey dribbles that thing so high.
And a nice strip by the Wildcats. Dorsey all alone. Dorsey now up to 10 points, becomes the 4th Wildcat in double figures. McDonald and Nicholson both with 16, as we'll call a timeout from Coach Alicia Lewis, her 2nd season as the head coach at Trinity Baptist, but has been there for a long time, an assistant under legendary head coach Judy Allen from 2017 to 2022, and then took over as the head coach after Allen retired after 2022 season. She was an assistant for both of those Bible College Women's National Championships in 2019 and 2021. We talked about the weekly podcast, and if you love Bethune-Cookman University sports, then don't miss Hail Wildcats Radio, the show that takes you behind the scenes of all 15 Wildcat sports, hosted by me, featuring the expertise of Bryce Wynowski and Brian Harvey. Hail Wildcats Radio delivers unparalleled coverage of your favorite teams. Tune in to 1380 WELE Daytona Beach every Saturday to catch the show live, or listen anytime on your favorite podcast platform. We're headed to the studio to record another episode after this game. We've got a recap of this game, preview of the Classic, recap of another tough weekend for football late. A lot of stuff to talk about as crossover season thankfully winding to a close. Volleyball just left this morning. They got their bus rolling just before this game started as they head up to the conference tournament at Grambling, as the Wildcats are on the hunt for their first SWAC title. They take on number 5 seeded Texas Southern Friday, November 22nd at 2:30 p.m. That'll be on the SWAC Digital Network.
Man, party in the SID office on Monday. When all of this is over, we put football to bed. Now, listen, I hope volleyball is still going. Don't get me wrong there. I would give anything for volleyball to keep playing into next week. But crossover season, we just focus on basketball, and we put a lot of this behind us, and we all take a collective breath and enjoy a Thanksgiving.
And then 4 months of basketball action. It seems like it goes on forever. Smith drives, puts up a circus shot that's short. Here is Kayla White. Her first shot attempt of the game is no good. Offensive rebound for Green, but she stepped on the baseline. And then you get to crossover season the other way between basketball, baseball, and softball.
Don't do that. Don't do that. It's too early for that. Don't do that.
You know you want some Wildcat baseball action.
It's going to be a weird December, I'll tell you that, with all the basketball teams on the road for the whole month. It's going to be strange.
Remember last year we had, 5 home games in December, including 3 for the women's team in 5 days.
And even at this level, it's just so untraditional to be gone for that long or spaced out that long between the time they'll be back. I tell you what, though, this campus, by the time those basketball teams get back, they'll be ready for some basketball and more, Jim. We know how this place gets when it comes to those night SWAC games, especially on those Saturdays when all the students are here packing it. They will be ready to see some basketball.
And I will say to anyone listening to this, do not neglect the Thursday women's games. The new schedule in the SWAC this year, Alyssa Green will travel. It's been a rough game for Alyssa Green. She tries to find her feet, the freshman from Georgia. But the new schedule this year, Thursday women's game, doubleheader on Saturday, men's game alone on Monday. So a little bit more spread out. Brown all the way, tracked by Green. Green still harassing her. She gets that ball away. But I'd love to see just as much support for the women's on Thursday night as the men's on Saturday night.
Yeah, I think a lot of times some exciting women's games last year got overshadowed just because another exciting men's game came right after it. That's the last thing we remember.
Move by Clark, short, got her own miss, muscles it up, a third opportunity, and she wedges it against the backboard.
We love a good wedgie.
We do.
We do.
I remember you getting on me for being excited about a wedgie at the end of last season when we hadn't had one all year.
Well, fine. Maybe I'm excited about it, too. Maybe I'm a fraud. All right, I like a good wedgie. Shout out to our student managers for coming and unlodging that one. But you did talk about that schedule, and you're absolutely right. The women deserve every shred of attendance, of Wildcat spirit for every one of those. It's going to look a little different, but don't leave them high and dry now. This is a team that's got aspirations on really making some noise in the SWAC this year. And again, they play some exciting basketball games, man. We know every game in this gym just about goes down to the wire, is one of those ones that keeps you, nail biting right to the very end. And again, if it weren't for the men's games that follow 30 minutes after these games, people would remember more and more women's games because they get that spotlight. Well, now the SWAC trying to shift and give the women a little bit more of their own day. I think it's a little unfortunate for them that it does come on a Thursday. We'll see what the attendance looks like, but it's up to us to tell you that we really do think that you should be out at these games, showing these ladies some support. They put on a great product. Coach Creighton Del Rosario is going to put her best squad out there on the floor, and I think they're in for a fun conference season. I think they really are, and we want to make sure that we pack this place as much as we can. Don't neglect them.
And we thought last season when the Wildcats started so hot and had all those big non-conference wins, we thought maybe that would be the team to go on and maybe make some noise in the SWAC tournament and into the postseason, but injuries really derailed the season last year. The Wildcats at one point playing with just 6 players down the stretch. Finished 1-7 and ended up missing the tournament on that final day.
It's a long season. It really is. And we'll see what non-conference ends up looking like. I think it's looked a little more, you see the growth, but the wins haven't come like they did last year. Mercer should be a really good test for this team, though, just coming up. Seeing how you measure up against a team, again, that you took down at their place last year. So you welcome them in. They got a good non-conference win here last year
Jacksonville.
Absolutely, absolutely. So they've shown the ability to do that. This place has a way of, working its way out for these Wildcats.
Speaking of Jacksonville, FAMU played Jacksonville women really tough last night.
I love some A-Sun basketball, man. They play tough out there. It is next league up. It really is. It's a great mid-major conference, men's and women's.
Brown trapped by Kelly. Somehow got it to Harvey. Just 8 to shoot. That one batted away by Clark. She hoists it up the floor. And Kariana Woods cashes in.
And as much as, it's a breakaway layup, of course you should make it. I recall plenty of times in the past few seasons where the Wildcats have not always made those shots. So credit to them for taking care of business and not missing out on those bunnies.
Wildcats have now forced 13 Eagles turnovers. 22 points off of those turnovers as Smith goes to ground, working on Clark. Reverse layup, no. And the Wildcats will have it as Brown steps on the baseline. And this is one of the things that the Wildcats are going to be able to leverage in a game like this. Just the bench is so deep compared to Trinity Baptist, who only has 6 healthy players.
You can see the difference in the legs for both sides as the Wildcats continue to press defensively, and there's just not enough movement from Trinity Baptist anymore to really beat that man coverage. You don't see a lot of screens. You don't see a lot of movement outside of the three-point arc, and they're just wearing them down. That's what we expected.
Here's Ajahnay Nicholson, 16 points in the first half. Her first shot of the second half is good. And you're right, she just plays so much bigger than her listed 5'11".
I think that's a feature of really this Wildcats team and any Coach Creighton Del Rosario coach team. They just play bigger.
And another turnover off the 10-second violation this time. And as this game goes along, I wouldn't be surprised if we maybe see an all-freshman lineup from the Cats. It's close now with Brooks and Green out there, along with Phillips, Nicholson, and White. That's a nice drive from Jordan Brooks.
Haven't seen a lot of Chariot Johnson early on in this season.
No, nor Maya Johnson, the other freshman center from Fort Lauderdale. But Chariot Johnson at times was forced into service last year because of the injuries, playing as a true freshman, but only 2 appearances on the year, just 9 points.
She showed some flashes last year. I remember coming away from games even all the way deep into SWAC play and saying, okay, yeah, she looks a lot like a freshman, but she shows you something. She's a little undersized, but she's got some real movement offensively.
There's a foul as Caroline Smith hits the deck. Fouls on Alyssa Green. As Damani Dorsey comes back in to replace the freshman. SWAC basketball is due for an upheaval with Jackson State. The coach left to take the job at Charlotte. And Margaret Richards, who was at Alabama A&M, is now at Jackson State. A couple of other coaching shuffles in the league. And
mentioned Coach Thornton, Pine Bluff, going to Alabama A&M.
You see one coach leaves and everything else shakes up, especially in a conference like this where you share a lot of talent, both coaching side and player side. You see a lot of in-conference transfers, and the Wildcats have lost some of those. Omaria Tucker, one gone to Alabama State.
Don't sleep on Valley either now. Shadaima McKnight is a player.
Oh, my goodness. Did you see her against, I don't remember, I think it was Auburn they played. She had 28 points.
She is legit, man.
Like, Valley could catch some teams sleeping this year on the women's side.
Look at it like Pine Bluff last year. They had one player who, Zay Green last year, who was so good that she could will her team to a tournament and to some wins.
And they went to the semifinals.
Absolutely. And that I mean, you hate to put it all in one player, but it really was. She made a massive
what
difference.
A pass. Put that one on Shamari Phillips. Yes, the finish was nice by Vanessa Kelly, but the 30-foot pass on the money.
Let's just say one of the schools across the way from here has a nice Go Wildcat sign, and may I say a very impressively drawn Wildcat head logo and BCU logo. They're not easy to draw.
Yeah. And of course the mighty marching Spartans of Campbell Middle School gave us the Wildcat fight song at halftime. There's a tie-up at midcourt. Possession arrow will favor the Wildcats. Remember last year, I think we had one of the elementary schools have a little marching band show at halftime at this game.
It really is. It's fun. I like an education day. We used to do them back in my time at Stetson. Edmond Center would rock. It's fun, man. The kids love it. They get to get out of school, if for nothing else. You get to go take a little field trip, might be the best part of it, but I think that's why you see so much energy. It's cool, man. It really is.
I remember when I was looking at colleges to go to, took a visit at Ball State up in Indiana, and the person who was doing the tour when we were touring the basketball arena said, like, the loudest I've ever heard this place is Education Day. Wildcats a couple of ball screen sets, and Kayla White is finally on the board. The final Wildcat that has not scored in this ball game is finally off the mark. Ewig lost it out of bounds, but it was touched by Dorsey. Football season coming to an end this week with the Classic. Nice pass to find Smith, partially altered by Nicholson. And then Dorsey out ahead of the pack. The Wildcats have gotten in transition today, and they have just run Trinity Baptist out of the building. Only 2 points in the third quarter so far for the Eagles, with just 43 seconds to go in it. So the Wildcats, after only outscoring them by 6 in the second quarter, said, no, we're stamping our authority on this game.
Comes a line change for the Wildcats. Yeah, I'd be surprised if they come out of the fourth quarter still in man defense. I figure they'll probably drop back into zone, but Coach Creighton does like to play a lot of man defense, so maybe it's just something you want to continue to work on. But I don't know. If it's me, I'd probably just drop them back, make sure you get out on the three-point line when you have the opportunity to, and don't necessarily keep the clamps on all game.
Those line change substitutions. I'm about to go do a lot of public address announcing over at the Ocean Center for the next month or so. A lot of basketball going on over there, and every time I see a team do that, I'm like, oh, no.
Not again.
Not again. Long jumper missed by Harvey. Here come the Cats. Lob it up, and Kelly finishes. Janessa Kelly has been the beneficiary of some excellent passing this afternoon to score her 7 points. As the Wildcats racing towards triple digits, Trinity Baptist has given up triple digits to every non-NCCAA school they've played so far. 122 against Savannah State and 146 against UNF. There's a heave at the horn that almost went for Layla Harvey, but the Wildcats hold the Eagles to just 2 points in the third quarter on 1 of 13 shooting. They get 33 of their own and lead 94-25 as we head to the fourth here on the Cat Eye Network. Start of the fourth quarter here on the Cat Eye Network as the Bethune-Cookman women's basketball team continues their final tune-up game of the season of 94-25 against Trinity Baptist College.
There's that zone.
Oh, we almost saw Kayla Clark get out there and jump the passing lane. And you mentioned on Hail Wildcats radio a couple of weeks ago that sometimes it's to the Wildcats' detriment how much they play for on-ball steals like that.
And that's one that if you sell out on that one, well, that's an easy backdoor that then cuts the knees off of the rest of your defense down there because they got a quick lane, they got the momentum to head. You know, if it's a bigger player to get to the foul line, to get a layup up, it certainly does. Right there even.
Now, the Eagles were out of time, but again, a steal attempt that left a wide open lane. If Harvey had a couple more seconds, that's an easy layup.
Yep, and if it's against a team that a little more put together offensively, a little less running on fumes, no doubt goes right to the rack. Doesn't mean you shouldn't be that kind of defensive team or try to do that, but you got to be really careful.
Wildcats turn the ball over as the pass towards Clark in the high post is off the mark. Enriquez to Ewig. Here's the spot-up shooter. She got it. Her 6th bucket of the season. They've all been threes.
Just launch them up.
Clark off the heel. You can tell the Wildcats have kind of taken their foot off the gas. A lot fewer drives. Ewig again, this time short. Oh, Wildcats almost lost that one in no man's land as Cariana Woods almost tripped over her own feet. Yeah, a lot slower from the Wildcats now into the fourth quarter. Alyssa Green, the freshman, in. As is Lancaster, the freshman, and she got all kinds of tied up with Caroline Smith, and that'll be Smith's 4th foul. Smith hooked her underneath her arm as Lancaster went up for the layup. And important for Lancaster to try and make these because she is 0 for 4 from the free throw line so far tonight.
Just can't have that. Can't have that. I mean, I've been here plenty of games, seen the Wildcats lose games on free throws. It doesn't matter who it is. It could be your best player, it could be the bottom of the bench player. Everybody's got to be responsible at the free throw line. It's just unacceptable. No coach is going to stand for it. You know, at this level of college basketball, really any college basketball, there's definitely too much missed free throws. You know, we get the luxury of watching NBA games or whatever else where being anything below 70 is borderline horrible. But you just got to make them. Just got to make them.
That one's way short, and all of them from Lancaster have been. That's the 4th foul on Caroline Smith. She only has 2 points tonight, 6 rebounds to lead the Eagles. And short again, 0 for 6 for Lancaster. As someone whose size the Wildcats will need, the biggest player on this team at 6'5". There's a 3 from the wing, no good. Long board grab by Dorsey. Green in the post, wide open Clark. And that's one of those things you can do when you're running those 2 forward or double center sets like the Wildcats have right now with Clark and Lancaster. Lancaster is so big, if she develops that post move, she's gonna draw a double team. That means Clark is open. And again, the key is develop, and I think there may not be a better player for a young center to develop under than Kayla Clark, who's been the center on this team for the past 3.5 years.
And in today's landscape of transferring, that is few and far between, no matter how good or even on the other end you might be. It's just tough to stay around a place. But she's bought into the culture. She's bought into the coaching staff. She appears to be on her way to being a career Wildcat.
And we love that about Bethune-Cookman. It's a place, that's a heave from Ewig, misses at the horn. It's a place where, you know, players have come and found their home. Like even as Zion Harmon, we expected to be a one and done. He spent 2 years here because he loved the culture so much and he loved the atmosphere around here.
And there's players like Zion who you say, yeah, you deserve a shot at somewhere that is more meaningful, that has that, you know, national recognition. You deserve that. But then there's other players that, you know, again, you just, like you said, you find your culture, you find your people, you find a home here.
Corner three, buckets for Jordan Brooks.
And there we see it.
Only
First one of the second half.
Only the second three of the game. Janessa Kelly had one of the first quarter. But again, with the Wildcats really haven't needed it when you've just outsized Trinity Baptist by so much in this game. Another turnover for the Eagles.
And you just see it at this point. The Eagles looking like they're just playing with lead in their shoes. Both sides of the ball getting back on offense. They're trying to get out in transition, just moving a step slower.
Even Kayla Clark still sprinting down the floor. In a 71-point game, Shamari Phillips takes a three and misses. Lancaster put back. No, she's been snake bitten tonight. Kayla Clark hasn't though. 17 for Clark, 18 for Nicholson in only 17 minutes. As Agenais is probably done for the game. Splashing down a triple, Ranajala Brown. She hits double digits, up to 12 points. This is a Trinity Baptist team that hasn't even played a conference game yet. Oh, there's Shamari Phillips as the Wildcats start hoisting the threes.
Not a bad time to do it. You know, get a little bit of practice, a little bit of pressure in your face, work on it a little bit.
The games they've played outside the three NCAA games, as Alicia Lewis calls it timeout. They've played Florida National, Kaiser, New College of Florida, and Clinton College.
Big game last week. Florida National played Florida International. I don't know if you saw that one. That's a big time battle right there. Who gets to claim it? I think you know who won.
I probably know who won that one, but that's still pretty funny.
Yeah, it's a little scheduling quirk. I don't know how many times those two teams have played. But I mean, the NCCAA is interesting, but it's not barren of talent. You know, players come out of there all the time. There's some decent programs. I've spent a lot of time in high school up in Pensacola Christian, which is D2, NCCAA as well. They've had some good programs. Their soccer program's been great. Their men's basketball program at times has been great. There's talent at these levels, and you can't always dismiss it as just a nothing team. There's players here.
And they play Pensacola Christian, Trinity Baptist. It's a conference game for them. Trinity Baptist out of Jacksonville. And I mean, some other teams in the NCCAA Division II. I mean, Southeastern Baptist, Bob Jones is a traditional powerhouse at that level.
Bob Jones gets a lot of run with some of the big-time programs up near that way, just how many schools there are. That's another school that I spent time at in high school for whatever conferences or whatever we would go up there for. They play tough, man. I think it's only a matter of time before they move up and think about it maybe potentially going all the way to D3 or D2.
FSCJ also around that area. And then they play a road game at a school that I had to look up how to pronounce.
Here we go, let's do it.
USC Salkehatchie up in South Carolina.
Okay, all right. Not bad. I mean, I have no choice but to believe that you said that correctly, but...
It's a NCJAA program. And like, once you get beyond the NCAA, I mean, there's NAI, which is probably your best sub-NCAA level. But then you really can get into the weeds. Like California has their own conference out there, the CCCAA, California Community College Association. We have a lot of football players coming from out there.
The thing I've learned the more you work in college athletics, or even all the way back at the high school level, man, is if you're talented, people will find you wherever. I mean, I went to a high school graduating with less than a dozen people in my class, and we had a girl that just committed to Palm Beach Atlantic to play beach volleyball. We don't have a beach volleyball team, never did, but they find you. If you are good at what you do, and you go through the process the right way, they will find you. And it's a credit to any student athletes trying to work their way up to the top. It doesn't matter where you start. You can get where you want to go if you're willing to put the work in.
That ball goes into the backcourt. Recovered by Ewig. And just 4'10" listed. Justice Ewig. Ewig from Jacksonville, played at Middleburg High School. Did have 12 points against New College of Florida. New College of Florida, a brand new athletic program in the last couple of years. Maybe have one of the best, mascot names I've ever heard. The Mighty Banyans.
Logo is excellent. Men's basketball team played Stetson pretty close in the first half at the beginning of the season.
And then they played USF like 2 days later. Jump ball. It'll give the ball back to the Wildcats. 104-31 the score right now.
Bell must have rang some of these elementary schools on the way out.
Yeah, Trinity Baptist has scored more points than Fort Lauderdale did in this building last week. Fort Lauderdale only managed 27. And even just in the state of Florida, right, you've got so many athletic programs that not many people know about. Like, there's one of the best Division II conferences in the country right on our doorstep, as Embry-Riddle is part of the Sunshine State Conference. Kayla Clark picks up another one.
Pick any number of those teams to keep moving up in the NCAA ranks.
Tampa is probably someone I'd see maybe an A-Sun looking at shortly, or Palm Beach Atlantic, or a Nova Southeastern. Heck, even Embry-Riddle, if they committed to maybe a facilities upgrade, could maybe sneak in at an A-Sun or a level like the SWAC.
It's the other thing, too, like the average fan just sees a D2 or an NAIA game on a national TV-type broadcast. They just assume that there's no talent down there, that there's no level of competition. But, like, within these conferences, there's some outstanding ball games. I've had to work many just doing stats or other things. Embry-Riddle versus Tampa. I worked an Eckerd game once. Some really good basketball.
And even the games that we worked over at the Ocean Center. Oh, look at that. Oh, a showcase shot for Ewig. Is that one, I think, hit every piece of glass and metal on the stanchion and somehow went in. But yeah, even working the Division III games that we do in December over at the Ocean Center, there's some massive talent there, especially when you start bringing in some of the better teams in the country. We'll have UW Whitewater in this winter, as well as Simpson College, one of the best D3 women's teams in the country. Amherst, who made the Division III women's quarterfinals last year, is back for another year.
It's a different look when it comes to how the game is played. You know, maybe a little bit more fundamental, maybe a little bit smaller, not quite as athletic as maybe the D1 game is. But if you just come into a blind man, come in to watch a D2, D3 game, then you'll be surprised at how good the competition is.
Well, that was Caroline Smith's 5th foul that sends Ajane Nicholson to the line, and she is done. 2 points, 6 boards. And we said that Smith is going to have to be someone that this team was going to have to rely on today, and she has fouled out, leaving Trinity Baptist with just 5 players. We did confirm before the game that you can play with under 5 players. Now, none of the other Trinity Baptist players are even close to fouling out. The most anyone else has is 2 fouls with 3:32 to go. But they could play down to as few as 1 player before the referees called this one. Jordan Brooks, open 3, splash. That was maybe the best moment of the morning when I saw they only had 6 players. I'm like, oh, how many do they need to continue? I looked at the rule. It's 1. And even then, the referees can say, no, you can continue. I closed the tab, but the official rule says something like, if the team is down to 1 player, they must forfeit unless in the discretion of the referee thinks they still have a chance to win. That's in the official rule book.
I'm trying to figure out what scenario that would make sense. Maybe if there's like 3 seconds left in the game and we just had some kind of massive altercation that resulted in multiple technical and then personal fouls that fouled out 3 players, and they think they could just hold on defensively or pray for a missed shot. Or who knows? I can't imagine if that happened, early in a second half, that they would ever say, "Oh yeah, this combo, this duo right here, don't leave them out. They can get some buckets."
I don't know, maybe Zion and Jacoby last year, just the 2 of them.
I mean, it would take something like that.
Go get buckets. Speaking of Jacoby Hetty, good on him. He's leading the Central Michigan Chippewas in scoring so far this year.
He's been great, man. He really has.
A rare 2 look for Justice Ewig is long. But again, that's another player that's somebody who we thought last year was just going to go somewhere and be a star because he's too good not to.
Yeah, he's picked up right where he left off. The level of competition didn't affect him. He's fit right in, going to play up there with his brother. I think kind of meeting in the middle, maybe where Jacoby could maybe get up to, but maybe his brother couldn't quite reach that level of competition, but he's been great, man. He really has.
Off the heel from Harvey. 2 minutes to go in this one at Moore Gymnasium. A little matinee basketball on this Tuesday afternoon, ending off a incredibly busy week of Wildcat athletics. And we've had, I think, every team in action multiple times over the past 6 days.
Men's basketball goes tonight, 7:30 Eastern at Tulane, opening the Cancun Challenge. Playing home sites to start that one before they actually head down to Mexico.
That's a trip that I think everybody in the office said, "Hey, can I get a seat on that plane?" And Coach Thea said, "No, nobody's going."
Yep, it was an odd situation with the way the contracts are worked out with each team. You had a set number of seats that you could just the way the resort worked. You only had a certain number of head count that you could bring, and we all got stiffed on that one. Me personally, I think I'll probably sleep through the whole thing after we get done with Classic Weekend. I'm not sure that I'll see anything other than my eyelids for that Monday and Tuesday. But it certainly would have been a cool trip to make.
You can't do that. You've got to go to the Ocean Center.
Boy, you're right. 8 games in 2 days, man.
Yeah, I'm doing that this week. I'm doing that Thursday and Friday before the Classic on Saturday. So
we'll tag off and swap sides.
If I sound a little loopy during the Classic on Saturday, especially if it gets ugly, that's why, because I've been staring at the bright lights of the Ocean Center for 20 hours.
Shoot, I wish I was getting mine out of the way before the Classic, because now I'm going to be running on fumes for that thing and just ready to get to Thanksgiving, phone it in big time. Oh, boy.
Oh, yeah.
You got to love basketball to be at that thing, I tell you that.
Man.
Some good competition down there, though.
Stay tuned to Hail Wildcats Radio this week, because the fun topic is gonna be a good one. Wildcats playing out the last 1 minute and 10 seconds of this ball game as that pass goes way out of bounds. Actually, they already have surpassed the 102 points that they put on Fort Lauderdale. Been a little bit more of an open game. Fort Lauderdale just tried to come in and bunker down, didn't play much offense. But Trinity Baptist has gone for it, all credit to them. They've put up a lot of threes. 29 three-point attempts and 8 makes for Trinity Baptist this afternoon. The Wildcats shooting 63% from the floor, 55% from 3, 5 of 9, as they've put 7 of those up in this fourth quarter. Steal numbers a little bit lower than where we thought there would be, only 11 steals for the Wildcats. A lot of the turnovers for Trinity Baptist unforced. As Layla Lancaster gets called for a 3 seconds in the lane violation.
It's kind of a strange call this late in the game like this, but must have ruled it especially egregious if you're going to pull that one.
So the Wildcats will pick up their second win on the year, still searching for their first D1 win. And really, they may have to wait till January the 4th against Florida A&M to really look for that one. We do get Mercer here next weekend, or 2 weekends from now.
And I'll say this, if you are in the area, need something to do with the family, come on out. We're thinking it's probably going to be a little bit lower attended just because people are out, people are traveling. Of course, our students will likely be mostly gone, especially with the university potentially going online just for the remainder of the semester. So if you are local, we encourage you, come on out and get a good look at your Wildcats early, because it'll be a while before they get back. And again, they deserve your support. They're out here working hard, trying to put something they're proud of out on the court.
One more hoisted three doesn't go for Trinity Baptist. The Wildcats will walk out the rest of this clock and leave with a 117-34 win. Let's go through some of the numbers quickly for Trinity Baptist. 1 player in double figures, Ranajala Brown, 12 points on 4 of 3 shooting, 4 for 8 from beyond the arc. I mean, not a bad night for Brown. Ewig had 6 points on 2 of 8 shooting, all from 3. Harvey, 5 points on 2 of 13 shooting. Houston, 5. Henriquez, 4. Smith, 2. She also fouled out. Smith led the team with 6 rebounds. Harvey had 4 assists. Caroline Smith has been credited for 4 blocks today. So quietly a good day for her on the glass. 6 rebounds, 4 blocks, but also the 5 fouls that got her out of there with about half the fourth quarter to go. For the Wildcats, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 players in double figures. Kayla Clark leads all scorers with 21. Chanel McDonald and Ajane Nicholson, 18. Brooks, 14. She closed strong in the second half. Kelly, 13. Dorsey, 12. Phillips, 7. Woods, 6. Green, 4. White, 2. And Lancaster, 2. 2 double-doubles today as both Clark and Nicholson picked up 12 rebounds to go with their double-digit points. 6 Wildcats collected at least 1 block. Cariana Woods and Shamari Phillips both credited with 7 assists. Overall, the Wildcats out-rebounded the Eagles 62-14. 34 assists for the Wildcats as well. 11 steals forced on 21 Eagle turnovers and 32 points off of those turnovers. 90 out of their 117 points in the paint. 32 second chance points for the Wildcats as well. We kind of thought this was how this one was going to go.
Yeah, and in many ways, it played out exactly right. There's a few things that I take away from this one. The first thing is I like the assist-to-turnover ratio. Didn't get too pass-happy, didn't get trying to do too much. Only had 11 turnovers. Of course, you could certainly always room to cut that down, but not a terrible mark to 34 assists. I like Jordan Brooks getting 4 assists. I'd like to see that number to continue to trend up. I like the same thing for Cariana Woods to get 7. That's 2 guards that you're going to see a lot throughout the entire season. And for the 2 of them to come out and really facilitate pretty well, I liked that, especially in the second half. Saw a lot of good looks in transition, a lot of good passing up what might have been a good shot to get a great shot for somebody else. I liked that a lot. The biggest thing for me continues to be free throws. 7 for 18, man. You cannot do that. That's got to change, and it's got to change fast. You got to change that over at on-conference. You cannot roll into SWAC play shooting 38% from the free throw line. You're going to lose a lot of ball games, especially when you get in some of your big, contentious, closely matched teams. That's where the difference is made. That's the margin. That cannot happen.
And Layla Lancaster 0 for 6, right? It's hard to be down about anything after a 117-34 win, but if you're 6'5", got a really big body down there, you're going to go to the line a lot. You've got to cash in those opportunities.
And I've mentioned it earlier with Ajane Nicholson, same way. As we get more, and she has to go up against some size, which she did not have to today. I'd like to see her try to get more to the line, but she went 0 for 2 in her only shot tonight, and her only couple of chances. So I would like to see her get more to the line. I mean, she's been the Wildcats' leading scorer so far, and think of if you really can prioritize getting to the charity stripe, how much more that number can climb. But if you can't hit them, it's not doing you much good, and it's going to really frustrate not just your coach, not just your coaching staff, but your teammates as well.
That'll do it for us here on the Cat Eye Network. Thank you for tuning into this early morning edition of Bethune-Cookman Athletics. The Wildcats take this one 117-34 for Bryce Wojnowski, Lee on the production, Gino on the camera, and our entire Wildcat crew here at Moore Gymnasium. My name is Michael Torello. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.